Be better this time.
We're talking spring practice with our good buddy John. John tweets sports over at Twitter. He vows that we're going to be better this time. I don't know if we can be. Last episode, it was a basketball episode. You guys love that so much.
I was talking about Georgia basketball next season.
We're going to be better. We're going to be better. We're 20 seconds into the pod. We've already lost all of our listeners because we mentioned basketball. We're talking about spring football, guys. Today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, what are the three biggest storylines, according to John, going into this spring? That's what we're talking about.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? I am Daniel. Thanks so much for listening to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Joined by a frequent guest, John, today. Georgia, I'm going to call him an insider. I'm going to call him a guru. I think he knows more about Georgia football than most people do. And when he says something is important this spring, it means you should pay attention. So Clint and I are going to do our big spring practice primer, preview, whatever. We're going to do that on Monday. But I thought we would today jump on and see what John has to say about this spring. John, how you feeling today?
Hey, feeling good. We're on the eve of the greatest sporting event of the year.
Yes,
so if you're listening to this on Thursday, you are on the day of the best.
Congratulations to you. You made it.
It's going to be great. But yeah, feeling good, ready to win some money on this NCAA tournament, ready to talk some Georgia football today.
Boy, well, both of those things are great, and let's hope both of them can be true at the same time. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube, almost to a big milestone there, so just go ahead and subscribe. And then go over to an audio platform, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to get your podcast, and subscribe to the Locked On Bulldogs there. Follow us there. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. That helps the pod. That's the best thing that you can do for us. But John, today I want to get your thoughts on the spring. And so I think you've got three things that we're going to discuss. And I'll give you the floor and let you get started on the first one.
Well, yeah. So this week, spring ball started in Athens. So pads are out, sweat's rolling. Guys are back at it. Kirby's back on that hot microphone, yelling at people for walking, and
love to see it.
It's a beautiful thing. So if you're ever in the Athens, Georgia area on an afternoon, just drive over by Buttsmere and you can hear that microphone going.
Just cover your kids' ears because
please cover your kids' ears.
It ain't gonna be pretty.
It ain't pretty. One of the things that came to mind as I was thinking about three things, the three things that I'm excited to figure out or excited to learn more about is Georgia is replacing two guys at the tackle position that played a lot of football. Daniel, how many snaps do you think were played in their Georgia career between Broderick Jones and Warren McClendon?
I mean, it's got to be over 1,000 between the two of them, you would imagine.
Yeah. It's actually much higher. 3,611 snaps between Broderick Jones and Warren McClendon in their Georgia careers. That is a lot of football played at the tackle position, which is a very, very critical position to the line of scrimmage. It is, some might say, it is the most critical, especially in an offense like Georgia's, where you're playing teams who you generally have very athletic, skilled guys coming pass rushing off the edge, and you're doing a lot of misdirection, a lot of counter and things like that. And so the tackle position, critically important. Kirby opened his spring practice media days, and he said, hey, listen, Ernest Green is going to be out there. We're really excited for him. Ernest had surgery back in October to be ready specifically for spring practice because Ernest Green is an elite recruit at the tackle position.
Yes,
people are putting him in the same breath of, he has the potential to be a Broderick Jones, the potential to be an Andrew Thomas type player. Ernest Green has played 0 snaps
That's not
in
a
a
lot.
game at the University of Georgia.
It's not a ton.
Yeah. On
I'd
the
love
other
to see
side,
more. Yeah.
I would love to see more. On the other side, you have another fantastic tackle in Amarius Mims, super freak athletic guy. We saw him play almost 400 snaps last year. And so I feel good about those two guys, right? But between the two of them, between the two of them, they have 506 total snaps, and we're trying to replace 3,611. And so, so I think for me, the tackle position is going to be critical. The other thing is you need more than 2 tackles. This is a physical league. This is a league where it is a war of attrition, especially late in the year. And you need more than 2 tackles. And so Kirby got up at spring media days and said, hey, Ernest Green's going to be out there. Amarius is going to go. And then he mentioned names like Austin Blasky, Chad Lindbergh, and then an elite true freshman recruit that's an early enrollee in Monroe Freeling. Between
Love
all
the name.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's
elite
also
name.
Elite name. He was the number 1 player in the state of South Carolina. So shout out Shane Beamer.
Yeah, he's changing the culture. I mean, he's Clint's favorite coach in the SEC. He's just,
absolutely,
according to Clint, he's already won a national championship.
Well, he didn't win the number 1 player in the South Carolina because that guy came to Georgia to play tackle. But
how about Dabo? How's Dabo doing over there? Is Dabo doing okay? Is he still fine?
Dabo's back on top. He already he hired Garrett Riley, which
he's back on top. Garrett Riley can shred a Georgia defense. I have a feeling.
I heard Garrett Riley actually scored a touchdown on a Georgia defense, which that's probably why he got hired.
Yeah.
But listen. So you have 5 guys that Kirby mentioned specifically by name at the tackle position. All 5 of those guys have 675 snaps total in their Georgia career between them, and so I think for me, that's a big question that's going to have to be answered. Not only is Ernest Green that guy? I feel very good about Amarius Mims.
Sure.
But can Georgia get depth at the tackle position? I think spring ball is going to tell us a lot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Probably need at least 2 of those guys to step up beside Amarius Mims for me to really feel confident going into this season. Do we like the caliber of players that we have there at tackle? Yes, we do. But the depth, the experience, definitely still lacking at that spot. And as you said, a really critical spot. All right, I know you got 2 more things that we're going to cover today. First, want to tell the people about FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. And, March Madness is here, guys. It's happening right as you're listening to this. It's likely happening right now. It'll be happening all weekend. It'll be happening next weekend. It'll be happening the following weekend. You could bet on that on FanDuel. They've got all sorts of spreads, parlays, futures. They've got group bets where you can pick the winners of groups. You can pick teams advancing to certain stages. And if college basketball is not your thing, you can bet on golf. You can bet on Major League Baseball. You can bet on the NBA. You can bet on whatever you want. And new customers at FanDuel get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back into your account if your first bet doesn't win of up to $1,000. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and easy to use, and then bet on everything from the money line to point scores and 3-pointers drained. What is Clint? John, give the people one March Madness. Give the people one Final Four team.
Okay.
To take a chance on FanDuel right now.
Okay, listen. I know that you didn't mean to call me Clint because you asked a basketball question.
I know it's, and he would have just stared into the camera, just blankly.
Amazing. Yeah. For me, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you one. Can be a little bit of controversial take, but take Purdue. Take Purdue.
The lowest ones. That's the best odds you can get on a 1 seed to make the Final Four is Purdue right now.
That's why I would take Purdue.
I like it.
I think for your money, for the value, and I do think that bracket, you got a lot of teams in that bracket that are playing good basketball. I think it's probably the weakest out of the four.
Zach Eady. Now, don't miss your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and the official sports book of the Locked On Bulldogs. All right, John, the tackle position, thing one. What is thing two that you will be watching this spring?
Thing two, last year, Kirby Smart made a point to mention multiple times, especially loudly after the Tennessee game when he was very jubilant over a beatdown of the Tennessee
He wasn't the only
Volunteers.
person talking a little louder after
No,
that
he
game,
was-
John. He was we were all
absolute-
speaking at a little higher volume.
A little higher volume. But Kirby said, we took 0 from the transfer portal. He made it. He went out of his way to talk about team culture, to talk about development on the team,
That's right.
to talk about how Georgia took no guys from the transfer portal. Well,
Sure.
that's a little different this year
It
because
is.
Georgia went out and got some guys from the transfer portal.
did.
And not only what Kirby has done, right, is there are some other teams in the SEC that have gone and taken players from the transfer portal that likely may not have been the best fit for their team culture. Maybe it's a you're taking a wide receiver because of a 40 time, things like that. We won't name any names, but they lost 2 games last year and didn't make the college football playoff.
Well, they worked out great. I think the fans of that program are happy that
Yes.
that guy's going to stay around for another year.
I think they're thrilled.
They're thrilled.
But yes. But Georgia took 2 wide receivers, Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett, who were both top 5 according to the 24/7 transfer portal rankings at the wide receiver position. Georgia also went out and got Smoke Bowie, who Kirby Smart in particular heavily recruited Smoke Bowie and really wanted Smoke to come to Georgia before Bowie went to Texas A&M. Kirby Smart, Smoke Bowie has been coming to Georgia camp since he was in 9th grade, is what Kirby Smart said this week. And so they know Smoke Bowie. So I think that coupled with, I think the defensive side of the ball is going to be okay.
You do?
Yeah, you think the defensive side with Glenn Schumann and Will Muschamp, you think
we just don't bring back any players, John. We just don't have any returning production coming back.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you know, but Jalen Carter's moved on, and so we don't have anybody that's going to be able to play.
No, we don't have anybody. We
Keely Ringo gone. So
Yeah,
these players are gone.
Yeah,
we can't.
Absolutely. Yeah, Georgia might end up having to start a true freshman somewhere on defense, and that's the recipe for disaster. So. So listen, but Smoke Bowie, I think he's a guy that in that defensive position, they've got a lot figured out.
How about these wideouts though?
The wide receiver position, I think, is going to be what's interesting because you have a new offensive coordinator in Mike Bobo, who is going to continue some of the same scheme, going to continue some of the same verbiage. There's not going to be a lot of transition there, but there is a big transition when you bring in skill positions players and you have a new quarterback at that position, and all of those guys have to gel. You got to figure out, can Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas block? Can they fit into this scheme and do a lot of the complicated things that Todd Monken was trying to do that Mike Bobo is probably going to try to continue? And so you couple that with you've got Marcus Rosemary-Jackson, you've got Arian Smith, you got Dylan Bell who played a lot last year, you got Lab McConkey, but that's 2 higher profile guys that have to come in and gel with the culture, have to pick up the offense, and have to actually be able to do the intangible things that are required to be able to get on the field and play those positions. And so I think they're so critical to the success of Georgia's offense this upcoming season. And so I'm really interested to see how these transfer guys fit in to the overall team.
2 questions, John. Help me with my memory here because interesting to me, all 3 of these guys come from the SEC. Texas A&M, and Missouri and Mississippi State. And then you look at the history of the transfers that Kirby Smart's brought in. You bring in a guy from Alabama. You bring in a guy from Clemson. You bring in a guy from West Virginia, which was a top 5 defense in the country that year that he was there. Have we seen Kirby Smart bring in a transfer on the offensive side of the ball?
We have not. we haven't seen Kirby bring in a transfer that has actually been brought in to be a starter on the position. We saw that with Darion Kendrick. We kind of knew, like, hey, this guy is probably going to start at some point. Tyke Smith, we knew this guy is going to play a lot at some point. But yeah, the offensive side of the ball, we have not seen this.
Well, that's my other point, is you just don't see a lot of transfers coming into this program who don't contribute. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing, is Kirby doesn't take them to take them. And that, correct, I think, was more than him beating his chest about, hey, we recruit our own players or whatever. I think that is really the underlying message that Kirby's trying to send, and that is, if we come after you in the transfer portal, we're not just trying to fill a roster spot. We got other ways to fill roster spots, and we're fine in that regard. You don't see guys come and transfer into Athens really with any regularity at all. Oh, you know who's a transfer on the offensive side of the ball? Was JT Daniels. That was an offensive transfer. Just before the comments get to it, before I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he did start.
He did start.
Come in
and he
start.
he was brought in to contribute. And to your point, your point still stands.
Yeah, Jamie Newman and JT Daniels, that whole saga of that thing. Those guys were brought in to play.
And I guess Stetson Bennett was technically a transfer.
No,
he had
Stetson
another
Bennett
year.
Was ours all along. Stetson Bennett's a damn good dog. He was ours forever. He was born a Georgia Bulldog. He'll die a Georgia Bulldog.
Okay.
He's ours forever.
Perfect.
Listen, I think it says something about these two wide receivers that Kirby went out and got them. He's not freaking out that A.D. Mitchell left the way that you and I are and the way that random Georgia fan is. He's not freaking out about that. He sees guys that he thinks can contribute, and I do expect both these guys to contribute on the offensive side of the ball, but how they gel and what ways they'll be used will be interesting. Can Dillon Bell step his game up and become more of a wide receiver one go-to option?
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey is obviously the most talented of that group, but he's not really a true one. He's not, he plays a different position. He plays a bit of a different style. He doesn't really fit that mold of a true number one. Rosemary Saint, we see flashes from, I don't know that we can really count on him to elevate to a whole different level at this point in his career.
He plays because he's an elite blocker.
He is who he is, and he can catch the ball, and he can run, and he is athletic, but he is who he is at this point. I think you're looking at those three guys, the two guys coming in, and Dillon Bell competing to all be the number one, one dude on this wide receiver core. That's a very interesting conversation to be had. All right, you got one more thing for us to discuss, and we will talk about it as soon as we come back from this. All right, John. Segment 3, we're down. We've whittled it down to the 199. We finally made it. Some said we'd never get here. Some said that the podcast would never last this long. Some said we'd have to shut it down in the middle of the second segment, but we didn't do any of that.
Nope.
We've made it to the end.
We would never.
We persevered. The people will never know how we've persevered to get this podcast out to you on this Thursday of March Madness. What is the last thing that you will have your eyes on when it comes to this Georgia team this spring?
Listen, I started to talk about quarterbacks, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. I think you and Clint can do a good job of talking about that.
We will discuss the quarterbacks.
Please discuss the quarterbacks, because I'm not going to put it in my top 3. I'm going to put Kirby Smart has probably his toughest assignment as a head coach in this spring training. Georgia has won back-to-back national championships. Georgia last year, Kirby Smart had a common theme, and his common theme was the 2021 team didn't go 15-0. They didn't win an SEC championship. He used that, and he said that after the SEC championship, this team wanted to do something that last year's team didn't do.
Yep.
And now,
what's the thing that last year's team didn't do, John? There are no more things.
There are no more things. You went 15-0. You won the SEC championship by you put a 50 burger up, and then you won a national championship by 58 points. So
And you're the prohibitive favorite to be the number 1 team in the country coming into this season.
Correct.
You're going to be the odds-on favorite to win the national championship again.
You'll be the odds-on favorite. You'll be the unanimous number 1. And so Kirby Smart, that's a very different thing. Everybody last year, it was you lost 15 players to the draft. And Kirby used that. Hey, these guys haven't won anything. Yeah.
5-7.
Yeah. And they didn't go 15-0. They didn't win an SEC championship. So he had those banners that he could hang. So you couple that with something that, what is Kirby going to use to motivate this team of what can they accomplish that last year's team did not accomplish, which has been a common theme for him as he's used his motivational tactics. Number 2, you add that to the unspeakable tragedy and the chaos that has happened since the national championship with the deaths of Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix, with the Jalen Carter situation, with all of these, the media like spinning all of these tales and saying all of these things about Georgia. Kirby Smart has a tough assignment as a head coach this spring training, because what happens this week in spring training and over the next 13 days that are left in spring training practices and then G Day is going to set the tone for the culture of this 2023 football team.
Yeah.
And so I just think for me, that's such a big thing. And that's something that, if you're not inside the program, it's going to be hard to actually understand the progress that's being made there. But I think you'll see it in Kirby's, the way he talks at media days. I think you'll see it, the team. You get to talk to a lot of guys during spring practice because they open that up a little bit. And I'm just really curious to see what the vibe is like and how Kirby steps up to this challenge.
Yeah, I wonder if. Yeah, if there's one person I trust to be able to find a way to motivate, it's Kirby. Like this guy.
Correct.
Even the one thing that I can agree with all of our rivals fan bases on is that Kirby just pretty much straight up brainwashes these kids. Like it's like he's got these kids believing things that have never even remotely been said by anyone.
Nolan Smith, who is incredible, sharp, intelligent,
very bright kid,
very bright football player after the national championship.
He genuinely believes
we were going to
go 5-7. Yeah, like he genuinely believed that. Kirby can do it. I wonder if there's going to be a Stetson Bennett angle to Kirby Smart. I wonder if he's going to put a big poster of Stetson Bennett up and say, "You never won a national championship without this guy." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the guy that you look at and you go, maybe that's too much pressure on the quarterbacks, and so Kirby would never do that. But what will the angle be? The three-peat is, I think Kirby wants it so bad. You saw him put the 3 fingers up last year at the national championship game.
The only team in history to three-peat as college football national champions was Minnesota in the 1930s.
He wants it so bad.
I mean, so badly.
And he was thinking about it before that game last year happened. That's how bad he wants it. That will be the angle.
Just real quick, at what point do you think Kirby's mind shifted to three-peat in the national championship? Was it before
opening
or after?
Kick, ball in the air. Ball in the air, and he's immediately thinking about three-peat.
My question was going to be, was it before or after they were eting chicken wings on the sidelines? But I think you're right. I think it was way before.
It was well before. I think the motivation will be there for the three-peat. Yeah. I think once you get into the everything, has never been done type of category, then you're going to have a hard time holding people's attention. But, I think he's going to be able to look at some guys, some leaders on this team, some guys like Brock Bowers. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be able to, some guys like JDJ. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be able to look him in the eyes and say, hey, do you want to have a college career that literally no one has ever had in the history of college football? Do you want to do something that people only dream about? win a national championship every single year. And so I think those are the types of conversations. I don't know. If I'm Kirby Smart, I'm reading everything that John Wooden ever wrote this year because that's the guy. That's the only guy that can relate to what Kirby is going through right now. Like that's it. And so you're in some pretty rare company trying to motivate.
Yeah. I think the common thread too, as well, is that Kirby, he was on that Alabama 2011-2012 team that went back to back. And so I think he has been there when they've been staring down the potential of a three-peat and did not make it happen. And so I think you're right there. I think, the extra layer of just everything that's happened since the national championship, I think is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because, I think you're right. I think the football side of it, I think Kirby absolutely will find those things. I think it's going to be the other side of it as there's more scrutiny on the program and as there's more scrutiny on Kirby Smart and as there's more things. But I will say, if there's one person that can climb that hill, it seems like we got the guy. So
yeah, and let's not end the podcast without saying again, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is absolute filth.
Can I
absolute trash.
Can I I'm going to name a name on this podcast.
Sure.
Alan Judd, who wrote a lot of these articles for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, tweeted a tweet that was an absolute blatant lie.
It's a trash
saying that Kirby Smart took no accountability or responsibility for what happened or for the culture of his program. When they're in that quote, Kirby Smart said, our players make mistakes, and it's our job as coaches to try to help prevent those mistakes from happening, and that starts with me. Said that exact line, and this guy tweeted he took no accountability. So that's the kind of people that are writing these articles.
I can't imagine what kind of a person would still look to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution or anything that they touch as credible information these days. It is laughable to think that these people are still employed, but much less that there are people out there eating it up. It's insane. It will be an interesting storyline, though. All of that notwithstanding, it'll be an interesting storyline to watch how Kirby tries to motivate this team and what kind of an impact the tragedy of the offseason has on this year's club. All right, John. Appreciate the thoughts, what you're watching for spring. We will be watching for the spring. And I'm going to let you go so you can get rested up and enjoy a full day of basketball tomorrow.
Make money, kids.
Let's do this. We'll see you guys later on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.